appreciate you stopping by.
Yeah, literally stopping by.
Literally.
We'll be out of here in 35, 40 minutes, right?
Let's be a quick episode.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
We had a good week. It was a long week, for me at least, with you. We had a long podcast with Mr. How do you say his last name? I keep forgetting.
Preciado. Yeah, Preciado. That was a great episode.
That was probably the longest episode, I think. That was 2.5, almost 2 hours and 45 minutes.
Love, how long was that episode? 2 hours.
And we were just sitting. Like, it's tough.
Yeah. I think, go ahead, sorry.
The chairs weren't, like, mobile, right? So, like, with Fenster and the other guys, we were able to, like, get up and stretch. And I took a phone call during one. Like, this one, you were just stuck.
Yeah.
But it was good. Good conversation.
It was a great conversation. What surprised me most about Albert was his openness. I think like most people who have built and scaled a business, they're happy to talk about the wins, or they're stoked, obviously, to talk about the wins. But I think those deep, dark secrets.
And they were deep and dark.
Yeah, dude, they were both. They were things I wouldn't feel comfortable talking about.
I was uncomfortable listening to some of them. I was like looking around. I was like, is this real life? But it was, you could just go back to that podcast, watch it, and just watch my face the entire time. I'm just like, what?
It was like the expressions on your face as soon as he would drop. He's like, was that my first DUI? Nope, that was the third. No, the fourth. That was the fourth. Because I would get an 8-ball, and then I'd go down to
and
our
I felt good. That's what he would say. Like, I had an 8-ball the night before, and I felt good. And I'm like, all right.
Yeah, it reminds me of that real estate guy in Vegas.
Which one?
Tariq. Tariq El Moussa.
Yeah,
the guy from HGTV.
Yeah, that's
that
my
guy's
idol.
He's done an amazing thing. He's got like this book tour that he's doing right now because he's about to release this book, and he's doing the podcast circuit. You should probably get him on this podcast. And he's telling everybody, like, look, these are the wins. These are the setbacks. I lived in a halfway house for a little bit.
Yeah.
And you're like, wow, you're willing to be that upfront and honest?
But I wonder why he wasn't upfront and honest until then. Is it because of the book? Is he trying to get like clickbait? Obviously, he's good at what he does, and whatever reasoning behind it is probably true. But that was like 4 years ago. He never mentioned it once.
Yeah.
Maybe that's part of the comeback, right? He didn't want people to know how deep, dark it got.
I don't know. Was his career derailed for a period of time?
I thought it was. I think
he
got divorced. It was over, right? The show was together.
I
with his wife,
see. Okay, that makes sense.
So maybe he just wanted to recover, and
then
he spilled the beans perfectly when the book comes out. But I like it. Good marketing.
I think it's the trend right now. It's the authenticity trend, right? So it's like, I don't remember. Do you remember when we were kids and they would show how McDonald's makes their commercials with the food?
No,
you didn't see that, where they would like spray the hamburger meat with like spray paint.
I did not see that. No,
there was no authenticity because you would see the commercial on television and the carpet didn't match the drapes. You come into McDonald's, right, and the burger would look like slop.
Yeah,
right. And I think the trend these days is to move away from that and just to be authentic.
So you're not going to get your Ferrari, is that what you're saying?
You know, if a Ferrari appealed to me, right, if the Ferrari somehow satisfied or scratched an itch that I had, I would probably buy it. But I think at this stage in my life with 3 kids and a wife,
I think you're like right in line for a midlife crisis.
Is that right?
I think based on math, I'm not good at math.
44, the timing is
44 times 2. Yeah, you're there.
I think when the kids leave the nest, then the wife goes, "Can we buy a cool car?"
Dude, you'll be way too old for a Ferrari. Though.
You think so?
Yeah. You got to enjoy it now.
Interesting.
I'll split it with you.
You got the credit for it?
I got the credit. I don't have the rest of it. So that maybe we'll split that
I got
part.
the other half of the equation.
Well, I'll put it on my credit. I don't
Match made in heaven.
But yeah, maybe people are moving forward towards just being open and honest. The glitz and the glamour doesn't work. But I still people online like fancy, do this, do that. It works.
Go back to the Albert example. So we traveled up to LA this week to meet Albert. What day was that?
Wednesday.
Okay, so today's Friday.
Yeah.
So we went on Wednesday, and we're driving down Sunset because that's where his office is, on the Sunset Towers.
Yep.
And right out in front of the Sunset Towers, a very famous office building on Sunset, right in the heart of all the glitz and the glamour, right? This is like signature, like what was that HBO TV show?
Entourage.
Entourage, right? It just looks like Entourage,
Yeah.
right? And there's $1 million Ferrari parked right out in front. The guy, he told us he gets a parking ticket for parking there every single day.
On purpose, like strategically.
Yeah.
He said, which is.
So the Ferrari, for him, I think promotes the brand. And so for him, the carpets do match the drapes because he's got that kind of brand, right?
We were kind of like the Entourage, if you think about it, except we were in like a Tesla.
Yeah.
Like me, you, Dean, Lev. Like we had the crew. You're Turtle, right, Lev? Or are you the famous one? What's
I'm the
Vinny
one with
Chase?
I'm the one with the big forehead. The one who wants calf implants.
Oh, the brother? No, no. Johnny Drama.
Johnny Drama.
No. You're
Yeah.
Vinny Chase in the
I'm
story.
I'm Vinny.
I'll
Okay.
be the manager guy. Or no, that's Dean.
Dean's Eric.
Eric. And I'm
E.
I'm the other guy, the fat chubby guy.
What was his name?
I forgot.
There was Turtle, there was E, there was Vince, there
Turtle.
was Drama.
Turtle.
You're
Yeah.
Turtle.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. And then we just needed an Ari Gold at one point, but we'll get there.
Yeah.
We'll get an Ari, like a real Ari.
Well, maybe Lev is E because he's kind of the brains of the business.
So
And
what's
then
Dean? Dean's the Ari?
I think Dean's Ari. He's the 10%er.
He's like,
He's the
yeah,
10%er. That's
He's
right.
close enough, like persona-wise.
I think so.
We need to get him a little more juiced up, I think. He's too laid back to be Ari.
Yeah.
But we'll get him there.
I think he has high blood pressure.
Does he?
Yeah, he's trying to like.
I don't know if we should put that on air.
Yeah, dude. I'm sorry to air out all your dirty
That's
laundry.
like a HIPAA
Dean.
violation.
Oh my God, HIPAA, OSHA.
OSHA.
I don't know. One of the two.
We're screwed either.
Poor Dean.
But yeah, I want to get a Ferrari before I'm 80. I think that's before I'm 50.
You're not living that long.
I'm got like 25 years left.
Yeah,
max.
Yeah.
So do you?
You think it's that long?
Yeah, I think so. Like with technology and
Like we can build him. We have the technology.
yeah, we'll be good.
I think I just go all Dave Asprey, or not Dave Asprey. What's the guy on the internet?
The bulletproof coffee guy.
Well, that's the bulletproof coffee guy. There's another guy that lives in L.A. Lev, what is this guy's name? Brian Johnson. You got to Google that.
Lev is doing a lot.
Lev, fact check that.
He needs
for me.
one more arm, I think.
He's like an octopus.
Yeah, look at him.
I think his name's Brian Johnson. Fact check me on this, but he has reverse engineered his genetic age.
How old is he?
I think it's my age. I think
Have
he's in
you
his
checked your
mid-40s.
genetic age?
No, but like,
Do you remember that one time we went to someone's house and there was a guy who was talking about that? Oh man, I forgot the guy's name. In the house we were at. But anyways, the
different friend. maybe.
No, it was baseball friends. Forgot their names. Anyways,
Okay.
I saw you there. We didn't know you were friends with them. And we went there.
Jet's dad.
Yeah, Jet's dad.
Yeah.
But there was a guy there who was talking about his genetic age, and I was like, "Oh, cool. How'd you find out about that?" And he went to some website called Thorn.
Oh,
And
interesting.
I was like, "Cool, let me try it." So it's $100. Guess what my genetic age was?
Let's push pause. First of all, this episode is not brought to you by Thorn, so I would appreciate.
Oh, now you don't want to do the
Yeah,
sponsorships.
dude. Yeah,
now
dude.
you're like anti.
If they're gonna pay us, we'll name drop.
That's true.
Use the wrong
Look
name.
at the
It was
guy does 8 episodes, and he's like,
Yeah. Well, I figured it out.
you switched it.
I switched
Good,
it.
good.
Yeah.
Anyways, genetic age is 33. So I'll take it.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, so I got 25 max.
Yeah.
Still.
You take better care of yourself, I think, than I do.
Nah, we're getting there.
You eat well.
Eat better than you, or barely. You just eat once a day. That's not really.
No one knows the answer. I think cavemen would eat once a week.
Yeah, because they would have to hunt and
Yeah,
kill and
yeah.
cook and like.
So it's more like Ali. Doesn't Ali look like he's kind of like
he's the taller
subscribe-
one.
Yeah, he's the shorter one, but he subscribes to that philosophy, which is like red light therapy and steam room and sauna, and he's on the carnivore diet.
Yeah.
So
And
you
he
know,
looks happy. I think that's the only thing that matters. He had a smile on his face.
young wife.
I could.
That could
could be
that
it.
could do it. Yeah.
I hope our wives aren't watching.
Yeah. Trust me, they are not. This is not interesting to them whatsoever.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
no Ferraris until we're 80. That's
Yeah.
fine.
I think I see a Volvo in your future.
Volvo, they
Yeah.
make those still? Is there electric Volvo?
Yeah, it's
Oh.
it's called a what is that called, Lev? Only got 2 hands, man. No, there is an electric version. They had a showroom. It's Volvo's owned by a Chinese company now.
Oh, really?
And yeah. And so they have
China.
Yeah, China.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're
We
gonna.
can talk about that this episode.
I think we'll skip over that.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll skip over that. But I think it's been a busy week. Meeting Albert was amazing. And I do see why the Ferrari that he had, that's his 9th Ferrari. It's not his first, but I do see why that Ferrari plays into the character, right? That he is sort of promoting, right? Because you get to know Albert, right? And he's not really the character you see on television, right? He's quiet, right? He's reserved. He definitely wants to like soak up what you have to say. He wants to like listen. He's not so much of the in your face kind of talker.
Yeah.
So that contrast was pretty amazing because you've got this $1 million yellow Ferrari parked out front the Sunset office tower, and you walk into his office, right? The tour, and it was like, this is the $100,000 bar I just built. This is where I work out. This is my Bugatti scooter, right? Yeah, I mean, he's got like all these accoutrements of success, but then we're having dinner at Javier's in Century City afterwards, and he's asking like insightful questions and just kind of like enjoying listening.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, it was fun. I think once as we keep growing as a podcast group, we're going to be traveling a lot more. So it's like, you got to pace yourself almost. I'm exhausted from Wednesday, and
that was a big day.
Yeah,
that was a big day. That was a big day. But I think the most, like when you first create a business, you have a mission or a vision, I should say, right? The vision of this podcast was to meet business owners that have gone from employee to employer, and then from employer to scaling and hitting that critical mass. And I think, Albert's done that in the real estate game. And I think there are plenty of other real estate players, magnates, right? People who have achieved a certain level of success in the real estate game that probably would make great podcast guests. I think the trouble is, right, is that I'm not in the real estate game. So I don't know who those people are. Mm-hmm. So I think the hope with the Preciado episode, once we publish it, is that it will get other real estate, it'll get on other real estate people's radar, right? And then hopefully, right, they'll ping you, they'll ping us, they'll ping the podcast, and they'll say like, hey, how do I get on your podcast? Because, like we're in Southern California, right? And so, I mean, that's a pretty good real estate hub, right? But what about Miami? What about New York? What about Austin, Dallas, Houston?
You sound like Drake right now.
Yeah,
it sounds like a Drake song.
I'm rattling off. I'm rattling off all the cities I've made investments in and lost money.
Oh,
yeah. It's but I think it would be fun to, like you said, to kind of like travel around, right, and interview people that have a relatable story, right? They had that idea to pivot from being an employee to becoming an employer.
Yeah.
Because I think everyone has that idea, right? But it's all about execution, right? Because it's like you have an idea, and then you talk yourself out of it, right? And then at some point, through either encouragement from your better half, your friends, your colleagues, right? Some are able to make that transition, right, to employer. And generally, right, with the right type of support and a little bit of luck, right, they're able to build something amazing. I think that's what we need to seek out.
And I think the more people we attract, it's going to be people who are just starting off in business, right? Or just taking that first step towards becoming their own boss or hiring their first employee. And I think we have a lot to give them, especially you. After the Albert episode, you were on a whiteboard with him, showing him some basic stuff. And I think that should be a secondary goal of ours, is to go to these cities and try to help them kind of understand where and how you got to where you are. Because let's be honest, your employees are probably listening. You're not really involved in the day-to-day. So you have a lot to kind of give back to myself, to everyone else in the world who's kind of maybe in that middle ground. What's the middle ground of your whole...
I think it's referred to as a blue-collar millionaire, right? So you own a business, you're doing well, you have a nice house, some cars, but you're active in the day-to-day management of the business. Yeah. And I think those are the most interesting examples of people that I think if we could get our message out to, if they could find value in what we explain, that's where they go from being that blue-collar millionaire to finding scale.
Yeah.
Right? Because as you know, you and I were having this discussion today. It's like, what am I going to do at Cardiff that a younger person that's more driven, that's more passionate, who is helping to like mold and create their vision of Cardiff, what more can I do?
Yeah.
And I think the truth is it was time to hand over the reins. But going back to your example about Preciado, once we filmed that podcast, right, he took us over to his Jamboard, which is like, it's like a digital whiteboard, right? It's like it's an LED television essentially with a digital magic marker. And I was just explaining to him how SEO works, search engine optimization, right? And how it can benefit his business. And I think, when you're like really passionate about something, but the other person doesn't speak the same language. Yeah.
That was you.
That's how I felt. Like I felt like I was speaking Chinese to like a Frenchman, and he was smiling, right? Like he understood, but he wasn't absorbing any of the content, right? That I was serving up. And so it felt.
But you were really excited. You love SEO. You love digital marketing.
I do.
I've never seen you, and I haven't hung out with you that much in other business settings, but you were excited. You grabbed that Jamboard and you made love to it like I've never seen you make love before, because I haven't. But not many
people have.
Yeah,
We'll put the link down here.
That's how we make money.
Yeah. It's a passion of mine. Like the marketing side, both the organic and the paid side, are something that really appeal to me. I stay up to date with like the best practices on both. And I think a lot of that has to do with my partner in crime. So a lot of people who don't know, sometimes we joke about him, that he's the human manifestation of AI, but he's the EP of this podcast, but he also does so much more. And I think he's always the guy who, if I'm interested in learning something, he will do that deep dive. He will go down that rabbit hole and learn how to do it. And then when he comes up for air, that's when I learn how to do it. And then what happens is it like there's a contagion rate, right? Like it spreads to me, and then I go down that deep, dark rabbit hole and I figure out how to do it, and then I become passionate about it. But generally, it has to do with me wanting to understand something, asking questions to someone that I think is more intelligent, and having them explain it back in terms that I can understand. I think Einstein said that. He said, like, if you really understand something, then you can explain it so that a kid in elementary school can, can comprehend it. And I think that's the advantage of, and I think there are some reservations today, but that is the advantage of working with the next younger generation that's passionate, right, about achieving objectives, setting goals, knocking them down. Because there are, in business, right, you're always reluctant to hire somebody too smart because you feel like it could be a trap, right? And so you tend to hire people who aren't as smart as you need them to be, and then you're upset with what you have achieved, right? And so I think one thing Cardiff has done supremely well over the last 20 years is to invest in the youth, right? To find very intelligent, very driven people as interns who are, in college, and then to bring them in, to be open kimono, no firewall, show them everything we do, and then have them show us how they can do it better. And I think, Cardiff has done very well by that.
I think that's what you can give to the world in terms of value. Because you asked me that, like, what can I give to a real estate agent or a loan? Like, they're not in my industry,
right? But
they're small business, right? And so as a small business owner, you could give them that advice and teach them how to kind of groom those individuals, those interns, those people that need to be in place for them to kind of spread their wings and fly. And I think as we grow, you'll see that more. And you'll be more, I guess, aggressive towards, I think you should go after everyone, not just small business owners. I think mid-size, large CEOs, people have stuff to.
So Dan Fleischman's, I don't know, what would you call it? The Aspire Tour?
Oh, yeah, like
I don't want to call it self-help, but it's like.
Yeah, it's self-help.
Yeah, it's self-help.
Yeah.
Okay. Like, I don't necessarily know what the mission.
Tony Robbins is self-help.
Yeah.
I mean, it's similar to that, but
yeah,
there's not that name brand like Tony Robbins, I think.
Yeah. But it's growing.
Yeah.
It's growing, and it's hitting 12 cities, right, this year. I think last year maybe it did 1 or 2.
Wow.
But it's doing 12 cities this year. And I know they kicked off in January. I want to say it was yesterday in Santa Clara in the Bay Area. My buddy Jeff Fenster, obviously, your high school buddy, he was there speaking. He was on their panel. But I think you're right. I think, it's not. I don't want to create a firewall between what I know. And I think you're the same, you're the exact same way. There's no reason. Like, I don't need to gatekeep anything at this point in my career. And I think that's the mission for this podcast. But I think what you're saying is like it extends further, right? Yeah. Like we need to get this message out, right? And we need to be philanthropic, right? Essentially in the efforts into
because you just never know who's going to pick it up. You don't know who's going to follow you or listen to you on social media or when they're going to need help in their journey. Or this is a different age where they're going to get information from everywhere, right? They're just swiping up and down, and someone's going to stumble upon you and us and get some motivation and be like, dude, if those two losers can do it, we can for sure.
But I think that's true, right? It is in fact, if those two losers can do it, so can I.
Yeah.
Because the reality is, right? Like, what's the definition between a successful business owner and an unsuccessful one? What do you think? Just off the cuff.
Someone who can execute a plan accordingly. I think that's basically it.
Yeah.
Like, or has a plan.
Right.
Maybe.
Yeah. I think the failure for entrepreneurs to plan and execute, to stay within budget, to remain well capitalized, and to think of their business as a shareholder, meaning that you pay yourself $5,000 a month, right? Pay the business $5,000 a month. Safeguard that capital. Don't touch it. If you can adhere to those mandates, stick to a plan, follow a budget, keep your business capitalized, right? Execute when necessary. Making a decision, even if it's not the right decision, but making a decision, right? Following those mandates. I think that's the difference between a successful entrepreneur and either a failure or someone who remains as a small business owner. My business coach says that the failure of a small business to professionalize the organization means that that small business will never grow to a medium-sized one. And I think the professionalization, right, of a business has a lot to do with trusting, right, and delegating responsibility to people with aptitude.
Yeah.
Right. I think that's what Cardiff has done really, really well over the years. And I know, that's one thing that we always talk about with your business, right? Josh has a real estate fund and is constantly buying and flipping properties. But you're also the one that's like making the content, posting the content, handling the contracts, right?
Finding the houses, finding the crews, going to the post office. Like we're doing a lot, baby.
Yeah. I mean,
dealing with you. You're like, hey, come over. We got to do a podcast. Hey, where'd you go? Like, you're the least of my worries right now, which is good.
Yeah.
Which is good.
Yeah.
I like it. But I look at your life and I go, man, if I can get the right people, if I can get a Lev, it's over. I can actually take a nap.
And that's the thing about Cardiff. It has a lot of Levs, right? I don't know about payroll. I don't know about.
Oh yeah, I miss payroll. Sorry, guys.
Yeah. See you Monday.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
The holiday.
Yeah. Oh gosh.
That's what they call me for.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Anyways, but you don't know about payroll. I know everything. I know how to run the payroll. I shouldn't know how to run payroll. I don't think Elon knows how to run payroll.
Lev, I remember asking Josh how he communicates with his employees.
Here we go.
And I was like, "Do you use Slack?" And he was like, "Nah, bro. We I text them or something.
iMessage.
I message them.
If they have an Android, they're not hired. That's how bad it is because they'll mess up the.
But it's like, dude,
But that's stuff that people will learn on this podcast from you and for me. Obviously, hey, maybe in 2 months I do get Slack and I go, whoa, that was game changer.
Yeah, and this is not a commercial for Slack, but
because they're not sponsoring us yet.
No, absolutely not. So don't use Slack. But if you do, I would say the benefits are you have internal contacts. You can have external contacts. You can upload images and attachments and sound bites and video, right? And it'll be warehoused on their server, right? And if you need to search for something, you can search for something. And so, again, it's the professionalization of internal and external communication. And I love it. I think it's great. And this is not a commercial for Slack, because Slack and Salesforce do not pay us. So
Not yet.
yeah, but I do think Slack is a great way to professionalize the organization. And it's like, the sum of these small little ways that you professionalize your business, right, are greater than the sum. Wait, that didn't sound right.
It came out bad, but
Lev, what's the phrase? The sum of the parts is greater than the whole. Yeah, I just got a thumbs up. So
and it's a tired thumb, by the way. That's so getting the thumb is
on the ATEM.
Yeah.
He plays piano. He'll be fine.
Good.
But I think that's true. It's the sum of all these small things. It's like having DocuSign, using Slack, using Zoom for a phone system, as opposed to just using people's cell phones.
Now let's give them some tangible benefits here, the viewers at home.
Yeah.
How do you transition to that? How do you go from iMessage, and this is a selfish question, to Slack? It's not just a, hey, everyone use Slack now, is it? You have to go get Slack. You have to set it up. You have to.
I think it's very easy. I mean, they have an app for your Mac.
Okay.
They have an app on the iOS store, and you download it. It syncs, so you don't have to worry. I know sometimes with iMessage, my Mac hasn't caught up to my cell phone. And so it syncs really, really well. And I think you just test it out. I think, you can't, like you said, you can't force adoption amongst your group. I would say, as a business owner, you want to meet with your group and talk about what are some of the obstacles that you face.
Yeah.
I think it's always communication. Communication is so difficult. iMessage can be a warehouse of resentment.
That's deep for iMessage.
Yeah, I really do think that's true. I think, it is such an opportunity to be passive aggressive. And I'm not saying that with Slack, it's not the same thing. But nothing can replace the face-to-face. But in today's economy, with work from home, I think most people, the best you can expect is to get a text message.
Yeah.
I think the last thing that you're going to get is a phone call. But I think with Slack, at least it's a move to professionalize the organization. And so, in meeting with like your agents and your partners in your business, I think Slack is a step in the right direction. DocuSign for real estate folks was a step in the right direction.
I use DocuSign. Give me some credit there, right?
No, absolutely. Shout out to DocuSign for not sponsoring this podcast.
They're trying to charge me.
Yeah.
Upgrade me or something.
They charge a lot. They charge a lot for the envelopes.
Yeah.
We have an interesting add-on for DocuSign that we don't need to go into, but it pairs up with TransUnion.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and so when you have someone open up a DocuSign, you want to make sure it's the right person and it's not fraud.
Yeah.
So
it's like the verification thing, right? Where you ask you questions.
That's right. Yeah.
I think my CPA uses that.
Yeah, it's got like out of wallet questions.
Yeah.
So it's going to ask you when you open up the DocuSign, it's going to say like, you owned a house on one of these 4 streets.
Pick one.
Pick one.
Or none of the above or something.
Right.
Yeah.
And if you can't answer like 3 out of the 4 correctly, you're locked out of the DocuSign.
Yeah.
We find, that's a really, really, again, professionalizing the organization, right? That's a step in the right direction to protect against fraud.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And is that required by law for you to have that step or no?
I think maybe on the consumer side of things, yes, but Cardiff is B2B only. So
okay.
Yeah.
I don't remember if we have that.
But I think we just use it to again, right, to protect the business owner, in fact, but also to protect, Cardiff as a lender. So
yeah. So all those tips are those are really good tips. Just going from iMessage to Slack and how to transition and kind of patient with the whole process are really good tips that people should digest, right?
Yeah.
And it's not for everyone. Like,
I think if I had a short list, if I was on stage at like the Aspire conference and I was talking specifically to a subset of the population, which are business owners, I would say like, here are 10 things that you could knock out today that are transformative for your business, right? Use DocuSign, use Slack, use Zoom. Easy to knock out things like that.
Yeah.
And I think you look at that business on a Monday, they take those steps on a Tuesday. 90 days, right, downfield, that business is going to look markedly different.
Oh yeah, like with real estate specifically, they don't use some agents don't use DocuSign. They use like some freebie software that comes with the MLS. Horrible, terrible.
Yeah.
And I tell them all, don't use it. DocuSign's cleaner. You can customize it. You can make it look good. Zoom, another thing that realtors should use if they can't get to like a first-time home buyer's consultation.
Yeah.
Every home buyer should have a consultation, whether Zoom or in person.
Yeah.
So you see that face-to-face. No more phone calls. No more, hey, what are you looking for type thing. CRMs are huge. I think most agents don't have a CRM, which they need to have. I think every small business should have some sort of CRM.
I agree. That would be on my short list. Yeah. So it would be like Zoom, Slack, DocuSign,
CRM.
Yeah, Salesforce, right? Yep. Shout out to Salesforce. They do not sponsor this podcast.
Salesforce is tough to use. I tried. You have to put in a lot of work to make it.
But it's best in breed.
Yeah.
It's best in breed. And they're also the owner of Slack.
Are they?
They are. And I think they bought it for like $8 billion.
Smart.
Yeah. But I think, taking those initial steps, that's a way. Yes, it's costly, but think about if you don't take the advice and you make the same mistakes that I've made in my 20 years in business. Mm-hmm. It's like, why would you want to make those same mistakes when I'm essentially prescribing the better option?
Yeah.
So I think, maybe we can leave it there, but I think
I want to talk about the next episode.
Okay.
I want to talk about those mistakes. I think that's huge.
Yeah. All right. We'll do that. We'll talk
why, if you didn't go Slack, what kind of mistakes does that do? If you didn't
it's the pitfalls of not.
Next time. Don't talk about it.
Sounds good. We'll see you next time.
All right. Later.
Adios.
Oh.
Inaugural episode.
Wow, we did it.
Let's fucking go.
I'm impressed.
We did nothing.
We did absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
We had a vision. We planted the seed, and then
Uncle Lev
came to the rescue.
Do you know what the do you know what the
I thought you were gonna say your signature line.
No, I was gonna
like, no, bad time.
Do you know what the definition of a Lev is?
What?
It's the human manifestation of AI.
Yeah, it's
what's that? Doing things over and over again and
with AI or no?
I don't know. I think
are you manually doing that? Or is that auto?
No, I think he's got that ATEM and he's just switching from camera.
His fingers are gonna be tired.
Literally, the weekend just started.
Yeah. Sorry.
We're already getting canceled on YouTube day one.
We don't have to post this, right?
Well, yeah, no. This is
practice.
This is just a test.